Today we will study national income. Right. So this chapter I have divided it into two parts. Today we will do with the first part. Right. So in this chapter I'll tell you some definitions related to national income. Right. Now first, national income. What is the definition of national income? National income is the money value of all final goods and services. This is important. Final goods and services produced by the normal residents, just normal residents of the country during a year within the domestic territory. Now, these are three terms here: final goods, normal residents, and domestic territory. So it means that whatever goods and services are produced by the normal residents of a country during a year within the domestic territory of a country or outside, this is called what? National income, right? Now, since these goods are measured in different units, like like wheat is measured in terms of kg, cloth is measured in terms of meter. So since these goods are measured in different units, it is not possible to add them together. Therefore, there is no way except to reduce them to a common measure, and this measure is money. Means we calculate the value of all goods and services produced in terms of money, right? Now, some important terms, like just now we did normal residents, then we did domestic territory, we did final goods. So what all these means, these all things I am going to tell you now. Now first comes normal residents of a country. So these are the residents of a country, or are those individuals or institutions who normally reside in a country and their economic interest lies in that country. For becoming a normal resident, an individual or an institution has to reside or operate for more than 1 year in that country. There are some exceptions also, like diplomats and officials of foreign embassies are not the part of normal residents. Right. Second, commercial travelers, tourists, students, etc. Then people working in international organizations like WHO, IMF, UNESCO, right, are treated as normal residents of the country to which they belong. They are not the normal residents of our country, right? So these things you have to keep in mind, right? That diplomats and officials of foreign embassies, they are not the normal residents of our country, right? And all the people working in our country from international organizations like WHO, IMF, UNESCO, right? All of them are treated as normal residents of that country, not of our country. Right? Then comes the domestic territory of a country. Now, in terms of national income accounting, domestic territory of a country refers to the area of operation generating domestic income. It includes two things. Now, first things which it includes is the territory within the political boundaries of a country. Right. Second, all ships, aircrafts, vessels owned and operated by the residents of the country and generating income of the country. Right. They are the part of a domestic territory of country. Means all Indian ships moving abroad, all Indian airlines planes moving abroad, right? They all are the parts of what? Our domestic territory. Got it? Then another important thing you will come across in this chapter: goods. In economics, a goods is defined as any physical object, man-made, that could command a price in the market. And these are the materials that satisfy human wants and provide utility. So these are called what? Goods. Then comes the consumption goods. What are consumption goods? Those final goods which satisfy human wants directly. For example, ice cream and milk used by the household satisfy human wants directly. So these are called consumption goods. The second category is the capital goods. Those final goods which help in production. These goods are used for generating income. These goods are fixed assets of the producer, like plant and machinery. So these are called what? Capital goods. Then comes one more term you will come across, that is called the final goods. So final goods are those goods which are used either for final consumption or for investment. These are called final goods. Got it? Now next is intermediate goods. Now this is very important. This term will quite often come in this chapter. So intermediate goods refers to those goods and services which are used as a raw material for further production or for resale in the same year. These goods do not fulfill needs of mankind directly. Right? So these are called intermediate goods. These are just like the raw material, right? And after processing, right, they are converted into final goods. But here again, there is a problem, like wheat if you take, right, or flour you take. So flour, if a household is using flour to bake chapatis, it's a final good. But if a baker is using the same flour for making bread and selling it into market, that comes under intermediate goods. Right. Then comes another term, investment. Addition made to the physical stock of capital during a period of time is called investment. So whatever physical stock of capital, like I have two machines, right? So if I add one more machine to it, that is called investment. I have added to the physical stock. So it is called capital formation also. Capital formation is nothing but addition to present stock, right? So capital formation, change in the stock of capital is called capital formation. Whatever physical stock of capital you are having, if it changes, if it increases, that means there is capital formation. Then comes another term, depreciation. So depreciation means fall in value of fixed capital goods due to normal wear and tear and expected, right, obsolescence. It is also called consumption of fixed capital, right? So whenever there is wear and tear, right, that is called what? Depreciation. Then comes gross investment. So total addition made to physical stock of capital during a period of time, that is called gross investment. Means whatever increase is there in the physical capital, right, that is called gross capital. But one thing you have to remember, right, it is equal, it includes depreciation. Means whatever physical capital you have added, that is the capital formation, right? And that is also called investment. But gross investment means out of this, right, you add what? Depreciation to it. That is the net investment, whatever you have done, plus if you add depreciation to it, it converts into gross investment. Then comes net investment. Is from gross investment, if you subtract what? Depreciation, then it converts into net investment. So net investment plus depreciation is gross investment. Gross investment minus depreciation is net investment. Then two more terms we will come across, that is the stock. Variables whose magnitude is measured at a particular point of time are called stock variables, like national wealth, inventory, and all that. These are called stocks. Now, there are flow variables, variables whose magnitude is measured over a period of time are called flow variables. Example, you can say the national income and whatever there is change in the stock within the given. See, national income we calculate for a given period of time. Change in the stock we calculate for a given period of time. So therefore, these are flow variables. Now, one more term you will come across in this chapter, that is net factor income from abroad. In short, we call it as NFIFA, NFIA. So this is the difference between the income earned from abroad for rendering factor services by the normal residents of the country to the rest of the world, and the income paid for the factor services rendered by non-residents in the domestic territory of a country. Means, like if anybody from our country, right, or a normal resident of our country is rendering services in other countries, so he will get factor payment for that. And similarly, a normal resident of other country working in India, so India will pay factor, will make factor payment to that, right? So the difference of these two, that is called what? Net factor income from abroad. So this is equal to factor income earned by normal residents from abroad minus factor payments made to abroad. So this is important, means whatever we have earned from abroad minus whatever payments we are making. The difference of these two is called what? Net factor income from abroad. Then one more term you will come across, that is the net indirect taxes. Right. This is equal to indirect taxes minus subsidy. Right. Whatever indirect taxes you are paying and whatever subsidy you are getting back. Right. That's called what? Net indirect taxes. And one more term you will come across here, that is called transfer payment. So these are all those unilateral payments, right, or one-way payment. Unilateral means one-way payment, corresponding to which there is no value addition in the economy. Means the transaction is going on, right, but it's not adding anything to the national income. Like if you get any gift, you are not contributing anything. There is no contribution, right? You are getting it. So that's called a transfer payment, or the old age pension, or the donation, because they are not contributing anything to the national income, but they are getting the payment. So such type of unilateral payments we call as what? Transfer payments. Got it? So in this PowerPoint presentation, we have done all these small definitions, right? So in its part 2, I'll be telling you national income aggregates. All right then, thank you.